Good evening, everyone. My name is Louis Polito, the Belmar Public Library. Thank you very much for coming tonight to our first live author time here at the live at the library. We are absolutely thrilled to welcome Tim McCorry. And he is an award-winning composer, lyricist, and pianist, and architect who will be talking with us about his timely musical, Coyote. His recordings of original songs, Diana, made with his daughter, Diana McCorry, was an official selection in 8 categories at the 2009 Grammy Awards and received that year's Silver Award from the Songwriters Association of Washington, D.C. He's a founding chairman of the Belmar Arts Council, whose diverse catalog of original works spans over 25 years. Tim has studied music and architecture at Cornell University and studied privately with the late Dr. Roger Boardman, director of the Piano Performance Program at NYU. Born in Astoria, Queens, New York, Tim is a longtime Belmar, New Jersey resident and now lives with his wife Erin in Freehold, New Jersey. Everybody, please welcome Tim McCorry. Say a few words.
Okay. I know that you can probably hear me without this, but Louis says that it's to make sure that the camera gets the recording properly, so we'll have to make do, I guess. Anyway, it's a great honor for me to be here. A lot of history with this building and having been here, and it's very kind to be invited, and very much looking forward to introducing you to Coyote, an original musical that I have been working on since I was born. Sometimes it seems that way, but actually since 2010. And I believe I'm supposed to keep my opening remarks nice and brief so that we can get started with the opener, right, of the show, which is a song called Come With Me, that is sung by the very, very talented Danny Bolero, who very honored to work with him. He was in the original Broadway cast of In the Heights, and so he's got a lot of great experience. And he has been kind enough to be the voice, and in many cases, as you'll see this evening, the face of Coyote as well. So without further ado, I guess we're going to get started with the opener, Come With Me.
Is
And is this from New York Theater Bar too?
Yes, all of them.
Oh, okay. Okay, good.
Come on, the show, free show tonight. Come on, anybody? Anybody? Come on. You don't want to miss this. Well, I guess you all count as a crowd, right? Bienvenidos! Welcome to the Aztec Brew House. Now you see it, now you don't. Magic or animatronics? I'll let you decide. Let me take you on a journey. Come with me. Take my hand. Don't look back. Stand. We will probably return. But don't worry, in time you will learn to let go of your fear. Everything that you need is right here. Come Azteca. Lost? No, not at all. It lives in me. It lives in you. Ah! Don't let that shit down. God knows not to town. Don't let it do your head. So you fight it. So run out the funny way. Spin you out okay. You ought to know. Sit back and enjoy the show. Come and enjoy the show.
All right, go ahead.
I'm up?
Yep, you're up.
Okay.
All right. There you go, the first one.
All right, so that was it's called a staged concert reading, and we did that with the New York Theater Barn. I think how are you guys right? The New York Theater Barn in I think it was 2017, and so that's part of the journey that we have been on, and that particular performance was the first time that we actually did some choreography. And so we weren't just standing in front of, music stands reading the script. We got a little creative and had some fun with the show. So, as I mentioned, I've been working on Coyote since 2010 after a conversation at DJ's one Friday afternoon. And a friend of ours, Nick Bryson, told me a story that he had heard while he was traveling in the Pacific Northwest. And he said that for some odd reason, he kept thinking that his friend Tim McCorry might like to turn this little story into a musical. So I was quite surprised that when I heard the story and read it in like a page and a half email, that it really resonated with me, maybe because 3 of my 4 grandparents were immigrants to this country as well. And so I started writing the music. It became a very different story. The character who you saw there, Danny Bolero, plays Coyote, the magical, mischievous Mexican god who decides to intervene in the lives of Pedro and Bernavice, 2 young lovers who are determined to be reunited. They live, unfortunately for them, on opposite sides of the U.S.-Mexico border, so they have some issues that they need to overcome. And they have an amazing journey along the way, and Coyote has the ability to he's a shapeshifter, a troublemaker. He can help things along, he can throw obstacles in your way. In Southwest indigenous peoples' mythology, the Coyote is the trickster god. You never really know whether he's on your side or not. And so there's a lot of mystery in the show here. But it is a love story, and it does deal with the issue of people who are willing to leave everything behind to start a new life and how much courage that takes, and how much help they need. And so it really is a serious effort to humanize people who are really having a difficult time. So I've been working on Coyote, as I said, since 2010. Lived in Belmar for 30 years, and 2 wonderful kids grew up here, Cody and Diana. And so let's see. The show was first sponsored by the Belmar Arts Council. And they entitled it From Belmar to Broadway, a special project. And I always appreciated having that first boost from them. And then we were chosen by the Forward Theater Group of Chicago to do a residency there, and our first staged concert reading. And a couple of our longtime supporters, like Pat Hutch here, actually journeyed all the way up to Chicago to see that show. And then came the New York opportunity, and this was really terrific. And so each step along the way, the show kind of goes to the next level, and the network expands, and the people who are connected to the show, the team expands. And so you have more people encouraging and inspiring you not to run out of gas, you know, not to, because it's a long road, you know, so, and things happen, you know, we're on this journey. One of the most shocking things that I've had to adjust to recently was the sudden death of my playwright, a man who came to be a very good friend, Michael Amon, his husband is Michael Bush. And Michael came on board just before we went out to Chicago. It was really because of his taking the story to the next level that I think we were able to get out to Chicago. And he battled cancer for 3 years, and we were really sad to lose him. And I now am reforming the creative team. We're moving ahead. We're excited. Michael Amon's husband, Michael Bush, is an off-Broadway director who has graciously offered to kind of help to fill the void and help out. I'm also talking to a young actor, producer, writer from the Rio Grande Valley region of Texas by the name of Mario Ramirez. And he is very interested in the show, and he may be joining us as well. So it's a, you know, as the song goes, it's a long and winding road, but I've come too far to turn back now.
One of the big aspects of this musical is the whole overriding theme of immigration and what people go through coming to this country.
Yes.
What do you want to see this musical, what message do you want this musical to really project to people as they learn more about it and enjoy the show?
Well, the thing about a musical is it has to be entertaining, right? This is not a documentary. You know, we hope that it inspires people. We hope that it helps audiences to develop empathy for the people who are struggling. You know, I mean, each one of us has our own personal struggle, right? It's like nobody's getting out of this thing alive, right? So it just so happens that there is this global migration crisis that is going on, and the situation at our southern border is the American version of that. It's what we're dealing with, and it creates lots of problems and lots of stress, and lives are lost on a regular basis. And so what we're trying to do is to really humanize the people who are involved in this story.
Anybody have any questions so far? No? All right, so Tim, why don't you set us up? We have the next video to show everybody. It's In the Belly of the Beast. So let's start with that.
Well, speaking of, yeah, this song probably does more than any other to dramatize, literally, the ordeal that some people are willing to go through in order to have a new life in this country. And so Pedro has left his hometown, which is a difficult thing for him, but it's about to get even more difficult because he is traveling with a group of people who climb down inside the empty chamber or tank of a gasoline tanker truck in order to be transported, to be smuggled across the border. And this happens, and people don't make it. And so this particular piece of the story was in the original story. And so the original story inspired Coyote. So this song, In the Belly of the Beast, is about that experience.
Now, a church funeral in Guadalajara. And may his soul join you in all these things. And when our time comes, may we go with you.
My bad. Wrong video.
That was another song called
A
Smugglers.
street corner in a small town. Maybe. You're here for the same thing I am, right?
Don't talk to me.
He's supposed to be.
He will come.
I'm frightened, but I heard he knows how to do this. He's done this on his...
Please don't
We
talk.
need water. I have a water bottle in my backpack.
Just one. You'll need liters and liters.
I thought he would. I mean, that's why we're paying him, right? I'm hoping he will take me. He said to meet here in case he has room for one more.
A fool. That's what you are.
I'm not a fool. I am. I'm a fool.
We all are. This is my third attempt.
Third.
We were caught the first time. Me and my husband, we did it on our own. We wanted to save money. I had to come back.
Your husband's in the
It's
States.
the second time I made it as far as Phoenix, Arizona. I hired a Coyote, but he abandoned me when Border Patrol came. No, he said, my husband died of hypothermia.
I'm so sorry.
The desert frozen, and me too, I guess. Part of me is still frozen. There's a cost to it in life, and sometimes that cost is another. I'm Avila.
I'm Pedro. And I am your guy. You're the Coyote? I'm Pedro. My friend Jorge spoke to you about me. I know you said you have no more room on this crossing, but I was hoping you would take me. I have the money. We spoke on the phone. We're done talking. If you were going with me, you would be traveling inside the body of a gas tank. It's got a much more higher success rate than the
I'm not traveling in a tanker. People die. They suffocate.
Yes, you do. What's your point?
I can't do this.
Oh, looks like we have room for one more. I know you've heard about the crossing and how dangerous and terrible it is. Yes, I have. Well, I assure you, it will be much worse. I'm prepared. 2,500, you said, right? Put that away. You don't pay until the package is delivered. And don't make any mistakes, my friend. You are the package. I'm just the delivery man. Is this what you've gone through? How did you cross? What did you have to go through? Oh, There's no turning back now. It's out of my hands now. This journey ends. Those vows to the belly of the beast.
was the first song that we have to show there. Now, the Coyote, he plays a more practical role in this as well, in addition to the mythical god that and all the roles he plays in the musical. What is the more practical role that he plays in this?
Yes, there's the magical Mexican mischievous, a lot of M's, god that is the shapeshifter and can do all these amazing things, and he is known only as the Coyote. There is also a character in the play who you saw in this scene, who is a regular coyote or coyote that one would hire to get you across the border. When I started writing this show, the average price to get you across the border if you hired a coyote was about $2,500, and it's now well over $10,000 and still rising. I mentioned to my playwright partner that I thought maybe there's a little bit of confusion because, the script says coyote and coyote whatnot, so he gave him the name Fergus. and I said, why Fergus? I was expecting, like Manuel, or I said, I have these wonderful neighbors across the street, there's Juan and Gael, and how about that? We could, Fergus. And he said that, yes, well, his parents were fans of British comedy. And I said, okay. So he was always looking for a way to introduce humor into what is a very, very serious and dark show. And so he felt that every possible opportunity to make people laugh was important. So that's why this character, who is a real life smuggler, is actually named Fergus in the show.
The other songs that will go on, it's not going to touch too much on this, but as I understand it, Coyote goes himself through has his
moment of redemption in the show for Fergus, which again is kind of a universal theme that this show is very much about these particular principal actors and various people in the show. The challenge to overcome fear with love. The struggle between love and fear that I think we all deal with at various times and for various reasons. And so the Coyote is Fergus, if you will, is, despite his rather fanciful name, is a hard-bitten, cynical smuggler who's been in this racket for a long time. And he has no patience for a young, idealistic kid like Pedro, who has these dreams of a new, wonderful life with his lover in the States. He just gets under his skin, and he just really would rather just leave him alone. But they keep bumping heads until they have a real kind of moment, a sort of a verbal duel that's a duet in the show called Song of the Coyote. And then after that, there is a moment where something cracks in Fergus, and he realizes that this kid has gotten to him, that he just can't give him up to the drug cartel that he has actually, unbeknownst to his clients, made a deal with, which is the case with a lot of these coyotes. You can trust them, and sometimes they're your salvation and they get you to where you want to go, and other times they just turn you over to a drug cartel that then ransoms you for more money, and you still wind up dead. So there's, it's a really pretty truthful metaphor that Coyote is not just a trickster god, but at ground level, he's a totally unpredictable character. But he's finally met his match, in a way, with Pedro, and leads the drug cartel off on a different path when they track them all down in the desert. And he actually winds up sacrificing his own life in order to save Pedro.
and Pedro ultimately makes it, not to the story, but then the next song we have coming up is a song where Pedro meets Bernice.
Yes, when the show starts, Pedro and Bernice have already met. Bernice has already left for the U.S., and Pedro is behind in Mexico, in Guadalajara, actually, faced with the tough decision. Do I stay here with my family? It's getting harder and harder with the crime and the poverty and you know, all the things that one has to deal with in Mexico. But on the other hand, my family's been here for generations. I have roots here. Or do I leave everything and go? And there's a flashback. And in this scene, which takes place on the Day of the Dead, the first 2 days of November of each year, takes place in a cemetery in Guadalajara. Pedro literally bumps into Bernice, doesn't see her, backs into her, knocks her down, and you know, is very embarrassed. And as soon as their eyes meet, it's that kind of, you know, love at first sight kind of thing, I guess. But there's definitely a spark, right? Sort of like that moment for everyone who's seen It's a Wonderful Life, where Jimmy Stewart sees Donna Reed across the room, and there's that moment, you know. So she has already made up her mind in this flashback. There's no question she's leaving for the United States. Pedro has not made up his mind yet. And so in this next song, Pedro is trying to more or less sell Bernice with the idea that they were meant to be together, and that maybe she should rethink her plan, or at least give him a little bit more time to get ready to make this incredibly difficult choice. And the name of that song is Maybe It Was Meant to Be. I hope you'll be able to hear this one a little bit better than the last one, and it was kind of hard to hear the lead singer.
The story is not over, but our time here is almost over. So we wanted to share with you another few moments from Coyote.
Thanks. I just want to explain. When we did this show for the New York City Theater Barn, they gave us 40 minutes. Okay, so we couldn't do the entire show. We had to pick 40 minutes. So we chose the first 40 minutes of the show. It's kind of a great big teaser or trailer, or more or less. And so we only got 40 minutes into it before we had to wrap things up. And so that's why this sort of happens the way it does, the way it's set up here. Thanks, Louis.
The Day of the Dead. The day that Pedro and Bernice meet. Listen to the breeze. Meet the spirits.
2 days each November, we always remember
After this comes the love song.
we've lost.
Yes.
We shoulder the cost
Oh,
of
no,
Flowers and fruit, of candles and dream. No matter we must sit alone and to see. We've forgotten our need.
distant church bell rings, face smoke begins to rise from the grave.
Cemetery gates open now, waiting for you. You used to sing, Day of the Dead, come to our altar, come let us dance, forget all our sorrows, no time to grieve. We know you must leave us, leave tomorrow.
We live in both worlds now. Never to part.
Day of the Dead, come to our altar, come let us dance, forget all our sorrows, no time to grieve. We know you must leave us, leave tomorrow.
And on the Day of the Dead, a new relationship is born. A young man and a young woman meet. And of course, as lovers in musicals do, they sin. Maybe we were meant to be, and maybe you had lost your mind. I did just not you. Next time it's you, I'm more behind. You waited without knowing why. If only you had passed me by, you had to go and come home. Just give in to me. We built our dreams upon the sand as if we didn't understand. The time there's nothing for our plans. Maybe that was meant to be. Take a sun, sparkling sea. Nobody else, just you and me. Lunch at 2, third at 3. Maybe it was meant to be. We built our dreams upon the sand as if we didn't understand. The time there's nothing for our plans. Maybe that was meant to be. No matter if it's sun or rain, we soldier on, we bear the pain. So much to lose, but more to gain. We'll just have to wait and see if that's the way it's meant to
What does everyone think so far?
Very nice, Aaron.
Wonderful performances. So does anybody have any questions about the show, the storyline, anything else for Tim? Yes.
Tim, so what, if you had to sort of predict the next year, 2 years, 3 years, where is this end up if you had to sort of dream the future?
Well, obviously not obviously, but when I started working on the show, I said, oh, I could see this as a Broadway show. And everybody said, oh, well, you're in your mind, you know. But I think anybody who works on a musical probably has that fantasy. And sometimes, you know, just being really stubborn helps, you know. And so I have that kind of Irish stubborn streak in me, and I just refuse to give up on this thing. And actually, if we could jump ahead, I might as well say, a couple of years ago, Coyote was chosen to be part of a reality TV show called Opening Night America that is, hi George.
Hey, sir.
That is the brainchild of a famous Broadway actress that many of you know, Kristen Chenoweth, and her business partner, Charles Jones. They are partners. They've known each other all their professional lives. They're from Oklahoma, which I think maybe the only state to actually have a Broadway play named after them. So maybe that's why
New York.
something like that. You know. So I was thinking, well, there's Chicago, that's a city.
Right?
You know,
So New York is both states.
Yeah.
Right. Is it a musical? It's a song.
It's a
But anyway, so they conducted this global search and came up with 24 musicals. Their plan was, they know how hard it is to launch a brand new musical from scratch. Not one that's a revival or, you know, but to go really from just the ground up. They understand how difficult it is. And when I started, I was told, well, Tim, understand that most musicals take 10 years to get to production. They cost $10 million, and then they have maybe a 10% chance of success. So, that's the kind of slot machine thing that you're trying to line up, right? And so, understanding that, these folks, Kristen Chenoweth and Charles Jones and their other partner, Regina Dowling, created this enterprise, Opening Night America, in which they are launching a TV show somewhat in this vein of American Idol, where they eventually chose 4 musicals out of the 24 candidates that they identified. They narrowed it down to 4, and Coyote's one of them that they have chosen. And they are going to try to raise enough money for us to be totally developed to the level where we can be in a regional theater like McCarter or Two River, and be ready, if that goes well, for an off-Broadway run and then a Broadway run. Their goal is to help the 4 musicals that they have chosen. It isn't a kind of a process of elimination, there's going to be one winner. They want to help all 4 of these musicals that they've chosen, and it's a very diverse group, to get to Broadway. And so I'm just really honored and excited that they've chosen Coyote as one of their projects. So that's what I see and hope is going to happen over the next few years. I'm pursuing all other opportunities as well too. It's not like this is the only iron in the fire, but it's by far the biggest iron in the fire. Anybody else?
So,
Oh, yes.
we now
Back to
know,
the script.
back to the, well, but the thing, my question is, so we now know the love of Bernice and Pedro.
Yes.
So what of the real Bernice and Pedro that inspired the story? I mean, how, are they aware of this production? Are they supportive? Or what?
I don't know.
Oh, okay.
I don't know. I thought a lot. Would there be a way to track them down? I've never been able to, because it was a story told by one person to another person to another person. I have no way of finding Pedro and Bernadette that I'm aware of, other than like putting up some big signs someplace and putting it on Facebook. But the thing that is that this story was told to me about a brother and sister named Pedro and Bernadette from Guatemala. In the course of writing the musical, I was inspired to change it into a romantic story about 2 young lovers. And when my friend and playwright, Michael Amon, came on board, we tightened it up to be in Guadalajara and not in Guatemala anymore, with 1 border crossing rather than 2, going from Guatemala to Mexico and Mexico to the U.S. So the story is very, very different. And it would be very exciting and weird to finally to have 2 people come up and say, "Hey, hi, we're Pedro and Bernadette." So, but that could happen.
It does.
It could.
Yeah, that would be really. I think that'd be really cool.
That'd be wonderful. We have another video to show of everybody. Now this one is I See One Land, and the Coyote, you see, he introduces it as a song that for everyone across the border, a river, and an ocean. Tell us a little bit about that song before we play.
Well, despite Pedro's best efforts in the song that we just heard, Maybe It Was Meant to Be, he cannot dissuade Bernadette. She's a very strong woman, very focused on her dream of going to the U.S. So she leaves. And I think I see this song as she's more or less trying to, what's the phrase, to sort of steal her own, what's that?
Resolve.
Yeah, so she's trying to really just kind of firm up her own courage to make sure that she doesn't doubt herself too much, and she sticks to this vision of finding a new life in a land where she is respected. And so this is her anthem. I'll sing it a cappella. No, it's a little heavy.
George, you could get us a piano in here.
Yeah.
You could do anything.
I remember bringing my grand piano here once for a concert. Many
Really?
years
Oh.
ago. Yeah, it was a lot of work. I mean, not for me, a lot of work for the guys who did all the work. But, yeah, I brought my Baldwin 5'7" grand piano, put it right here, and did a show.
Chandeliers?
No, should have had the candelabra. Yeah. Technology is really wonderful.
Oh, yes. Yeah.
Now I see.
All right, let's hear it for Lewis. Let's go right to the back.
Too cute. We wanted to share with you one last moment from Coyote. We take you back to a time when Bernadis least Pedro's were north. Now here's the voice of everyone who's crossed a river, a desert, an ocean.
Yes, I will miss the one. But you are right, yes, there is more. Each night I ask the stars above, why do we live? What is it for? Now I see more. I see what left. I see no word. Now take my hand, don't be afraid. Just look around, it's made to learn. Yes, we work hard just to be paid. No apprentices to keep us on opposite sides. We have to show our fences and show we have nothing to hide. We have to learn to trust each other and build trust on greater bonds. And that night, we is my brother. Only love will take us higher. The weakness of
They were a great troupe. They were a lot of fun to work with. It's amazing how fast they put these things together. You know, we'd show up on Friday in New York, rehearse straight through the weekend, and put this up on Monday. You know, and they worked so hard, and it's an honor. And
So tell them how the, let's talk a little more about Opening Night America. I have
Yes.
it up here, so.
okay. The idea here is, okay, so let's say it takes $10 million to launch a musical, right? And traditionally, you have somebody with deep pockets who's willing to take a chance on losing $10 million, right? Because, I mean, let's face it, this is like just about the riskiest thing you can possibly invest your money in, like along with a lottery ticket or deep sea treasure diving or whatever. It's a very risky proposition. But typically, there are people who consider themselves really good judges of musicals that have potential, and they decide, I don't know about this Hamilton thing, but I kind of have a good feeling about it. So, okay. Over the years, there's still, you don't get one person to do that anymore. Now it's a group of investors, several producers and whatnot. Still incredibly hard, a lot safer to do a revival. Let's do West Side Story again, let's do this again. You know, I mean, even Hamilton, you know, it was a risk, not so much because it's Lin-Manuel Miranda, but it was based on a best-selling book, you know, so it's not totally from out of nowhere. A show like Coyote and our other 3 partners in this endeavor, going from scratch, it's almost impossible, you know. So their plan is, why don't we, instead of having, say, 10 producers, how about if we had millions of producers? How about if we created a TV show and allowed everyone who watched the show to become an investor in the shows? And so that's what they've done. They've actually launched. It took 5 years to get approval from the Security and Exchange Commission to do this. They are trying, our partners, are trying to raise $50 million in small contributions, sort of like, you know, grassroots presidential campaigns now. I just want $5, but I'm going to ask you for $5 tomorrow and the next day and the next day. So the SEC set up this thing, approved this thing, whereby, like buying a stock, right? There is a minimum investment, according to the SEC's rules, of $500. So for $500, anyone here in this room or across the country, whatever, can go to this website and invest and become a micro producer of 4 Broadway shows. So in a way, it's like putting a bet on 4 horses in a race, which increases your odds, right? But it's still, let's face it, it's Broadway, so they're all long shots. But that's what they're trying to do. So in April, they launched the website, the marketing campaign, and the first milestone that they are trying to get to is to raise the first $1 million. And the plan is, when they get the first $1 million, they will then have us come out to LA and shoot what would be Season 1, Episode 1, also known as the pilot, right? The very first episode. And that has to be the one that knocks your socks off, right? That makes you, I can't wait to see the next one. And then they're going to use that pilot, they're going to sell to a distributor, Netflix, Disney Plus, HBO, whoever. And then they'll have a partner to complete the filming of the entire first season. When the distributor puts it on air, you know, and everybody across America can watch it, everybody across America will, while they're watching these shows, be developed with mentors and celebrity personalities doing performances, like Kristen Chenoweth and a whole bunch of other people. They're going to have actors, directors, and producers working with us to develop our show. And you'll see behind the scenes the knockdown, drag-out fights and all the stuff because, you know, I mean, it's supposed to be good TV. It isn't going to be, like Married Housewives of New Jersey, MTV, Jersey Shore, or whatever. But it's supposed to be entertaining, fun TV. You know, just as a Broadway show has to be entertaining, yes, it can have a serious mission. You know, like West Side Story dealt with a very serious subject, right? And Puerto Ricans being discriminated against. So this is a serious subject as well, but it has to inspire you. It has to have you leaving the theater, floating on a cloud. You know, so glad that you made the journey. But this is something that you will be able to see from your living room. You watch this show, you'll see these 4 shows make their way towards Broadway, and you'll have the opportunity to actually become one of the producers of the show. And then, of course, when it inevitably gets to Broadway, then we'll all make money.
Can we wear the hat?
And that's when I predict, that's when Pedro and Bernadette are going to show up.
That's right.
You're going to wear the producer hat like you did with the producers?
We'll all have little producer
There you go.
hats, absolutely. The merch, we got to have the merch.
Now, is the storyline and the plot line and everything, all the musical songs, is that locked now, or
No.
is it still
No.
going to undergoing changes?
Great question, thank you. One of the criteria that the producers used in choosing Coyote and the other 4 shows was they wanted a show that they thought was strong enough to go all the way, but that was still early enough on that there was a lot of development and growth yet to happen. So, yeah, there's still, there's still a lot of work to be done. There's, more songs to be written. The story will probably evolve and transform, and there's a lot yet to be done.
So are you aware of the other 3 and where they're from and what that subject matter is?
Yes, I've had the honor of meeting them. In fact, if you want to just put the website, the other 3 shows are great. They're brand new original musicals by very creative teams and very nice. Because of COVID and geography, I've only met them on Zoom, but we've had conversations, we're encouraging each other, we're learning from each other. It really is a very nice collaborative thing. That's why I'm really happy that it's not sort of a more, okay, so who's going to get voted off the island today?
Yeah.
So I think what Louis is
Welcome
going to
to
play.
Opening Night America.
Just the
We
introduction.
are passionate about musical theater and getting musicals back on stage. We're creating an exciting opportunity for 4 creative teams and their 4 new musicals. We plan to showcase the teams, the creative process, and highlights of their 4 musicals to millions. First through a TV series, and following the series, we hope to place these 4 musicals in regional theaters for all to see. And we're hopeful that 1 or more will even have a future Broadway run. But we need your support to make this project possible. Our project has a crowdfunding element like Kickstarter. The unique thing about our project, though, is anyone who chooses to invest in Opening Night America is investing in the future of these 4 musicals with a potential return on your investment. A project like this has never been done before for new musicals, and we need your support. So check out our website and learn how you can participate and invest in Opening Night America. And here's Tony and award-winning actress Kristen Chenoweth, who will highlight the project.
Darn right, and now I'm bringing Broadway to your living room. Hopefuls who dream that someday their musical will be on a Broadway stage, each with a story to tell, have the opportunity to be mentored by the biggest names in the business. Ladies and gentlemen, this is Opening Night. This aspirational art series shows the creative process of bringing a personal story to life. Hopefuls pitch their musical inspirations to 3 mentors, covering all aspects of musical theater. A famous performer, a leading producer, and a Broadway composer. Celebrity guest vocalists like yours truly will showcase songs. Costumes will be designed, and dance numbers will be choreographed. The stage is set, but who will have the passion, creativity, and imagination to entertain America? Opening night.
Great ad.
That's the deal. So I'm very excited and very honored to be a part of this. And it all started here.
The diagram Coyote, who made that?
Oh, boy, am I glad that you mentioned that. Were you a plant? Did Christmas Gerber and Pat? Okay, so the original artwork for Coyote was done by Pat Hutchinson.
Oh, I don't know her.
Love her. She's a sweetheart. Yeah. And
She painted my daughter.
and the graphic, which I also love, Coyote with the eyes there and whatnot in the playbill, that was done by Krista Sperber, our Belmar grass creative. That's the name of her company. She's the graphic designer, and I wish she was here tonight. But anyway, yeah, so that's the thing, is this you know, in my heart has always been a Belmar project. And so that's why I'm so happy that Louis asked me to be here tonight.
That's cool. Tim, I want to thank you for coming tonight. I have one last question. Unless anyone else has any more questions for Tim?
I do.
Go.
I wanted to ask, with the original cast that you had, are you hoping that that cast will be able to continue?
Yes, Danny Bolero in particular, who you saw in some of the photos and we saw at New York Theater Barn. These you know, these people have worked so hard and they're so talented. Not all of them, but several of them are Broadway actors. And I would love it if Danny could be Coyote on Broadway. I'm sure he would love it too. And you know, on the other hand, when we went to Chicago, Ignacio Rodriguez was a wonderful Coyote. He was very humorous and had a great voice. And you know, I'm told that I have creative control over casting when we do the opening night America show. I mean, I think it's probably more like creative input rather than creative control. But I would just be so thrilled because I have had the honor of meeting so many wonderful Hispanic actors, you know, in Chicago and in New York, and I really hope that when we get out to LA, that you know, they'll be able to come out. It's also possible that we're going to be shooting this in New York too, so we aren't too certain about that.
Yeah, that's amazing, the struggle the Spanish coming up.
Yes, absolutely.
Because I watched something on PBS, a place in Panama called the Darien Gap, where the smugglers are horrific.
Yes.
I did not even know that existed.
And a lot of people don't realize that people do that Panama Gap trip
Crazy.
having already traveled here from Africa.
Yeah, and they kill them and they rob them. It's crazy.
Yeah,
I was in shock.
It's a brutal journey. It really
It's so crazy. I'll be investing next week.
is. Great.
Great.
You got one.
Thank you, George.
Now you've got a website where we could go and hear the rest of the songs.
Yes, thanks to Hutch. As a matter of fact, I would not have been chosen for Opening Night America without Hutch.
Oh, wow.
Because Hutch created and has managed and maintained, despite me being a huge pain in the ass and asking him to change this and change that and do this. It was because we had a website that the producers found Coyote. I did not look for them, they found us.
Wow.
And he told me that. You know, he said, I found your website. And I asked him, I said, how did you find it? How? You know, like, I mean, it's just a needle in a haystack story, right? And he wouldn't tell me. He has his ways, very mysterious, don't pull back the curtain kind of thing. So, but yeah, we wouldn't be here without us. And you know, there's no link in a chain that is expendable, right? Every single one is important. All the people that I've met through this journey who said, oh, you have to meet so-and-so. And people have been very generous, very kind. And that's how something like this happens. And that's why I've enjoyed the ride so far.
Besides the plug, I don't think people have had a chance to really hear enough of the songs. I mean,
Yes, well, you can go to the website, coyotethemusical.com, all one, you know, coyotethemusical, all one word.com, and you can listen to a lot of the songs which are beautifully orchestrated. It's really one of the things about showing the videos, like, you know, here, there, it's nice, it gives you a sense, but the mixing isn't right, you can't really hear the vocal, the piano's too loud, or, you know, or whatever. But on the website, you can listen to beautifully orchestrated songs that were recorded by Doug Oberhammer, our orchestrator and arranger, and it was the power of those songs that got us to the next step of going out to Chicago. And if you go to openingnightamerica.com, you can also hear the music of the other musicals. You know, so you can You can see videos about me and Michael. You can see videos about the other creative teams and get more of a sense of where this is all headed. So I encourage you to do all of that. And thank you, really. Thank you all for being here tonight.
I have one more question for you.
Yes.
I have one more question for you, and then we'll close it out. You spoke earlier about one of the things you have to do when you get started in all this is a certain level of stubbornness. You gotta overcome the naysayers and things like that. At some point now you're getting to the stage where you have a lot of other people with input, suggestions, and things like that. And now, as the brainchild of this project, how have you dealt with letting go and allowing other people to make changes to what essentially was your brainchild from the beginning?
Yeah, that's a never-ending journey, right? Because you always have to choose. You always have to be willing to take a risk, right? Of surrendering a certain amount of control, or not. You can say, it's my way or the highway. And maybe once I have like several Tony Awards on the mantelpiece, then I might be more inclined to, but not now. No, now it's like, if I was so honored that Michael Amon came to me and said, I want to write your book. I wasn't about to say, oh no, thanks, I got this, I'm good. And so it actually goes back to when I did the record with Diana. And I met a wonderful producer, guitarist who came down here to Belmar and performed at the Belmar Arts Council, Tony Romano. And he said, Tim, I love your songs. I'm hearing a little bit of a different thing here. I can play these songs for you the way you've written them, or you could kind of let me play with them, and we'll see where it goes. And I took the risk, we collaborated, and I thought that what we came out with was better than what I started with. And I have always found that when I am willing to do that, musically or architecturally, that what happens is I'm always like, whoa. I don't think I could have done that all by myself. So, and also that's how you connect with other people. You form bonds and relationships, and really that's what this is all about. This show even, talking about people who cross the border and whatnot, it's all about connecting with other people, and being willing to take the risk, of being vulnerable or taking a chance. But yeah, so that's that willingness to let go is, it's going to continue to be tough, because I know that once we get out there in this environment with Opening Night America, that the changes are going to come at me pretty fast and furious. And so you have to trust other people.
So when you get your Tonys, we're invited to the party?
Oh, absolutely.
We're here now.
Of course.
Right here.
Of course.
The investors get a +1.
There you go. Well, Tim, I want to thank you so much for coming tonight. It was a wonderful presentation of all the songs and what the music will have to offer. And I want to thank everybody for coming tonight also and sharing with us this great experience. And to thank everyone watching live on Facebook. I hope you enjoyed the show. We're looking forward to having you come back for the next AuthorTime, which is tentatively scheduled in August. And follow our Facebook page and our website for more details on that. So with that, thank you everybody for coming tonight. Have a great evening. Thank you.